And now we'll see SA510, that is audit of opening balances. First, we'll go with the objectives of the auditor here. The objective of the auditor with regards to opening balances is to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence with regards to opening balances. Whether two things. First thing, two things is whether the opening balances contain misstatement that materially affect current period financial statements. You see, these opening balances have some misstatements that affects current year financial statement in which the auditor is auditing. That was one thing, has to check whether obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence with regards to that. And second thing is whether the appropriate accounting policies reflected in the accounting balances. That is, the accounting policies that were reflected in the opening balances were consistently applied in current financial year also. The two things, whether the balance that they're having were contains any misstatements. Second thing, the accounting policies were consistently applied in the financial current year financial statements or not. These two things you have to write, you have to remember this phrase. You see, all the call outs here have to be remembered, you have to know that. And you see what all the things you remember or not, but anything with regards to a particular essay, you have to remember the essay number with regards to the essay title plus its objective also, its objectives of the auditor also. It's so simple. You could read it 2 to 3 times, you'll remember by this time. If the auditor concludes the accounting policies, what's the objective of the auditor, that they have to be consistently applied in the current period financial statement also. And he found that those accounting policies were not consistently applied, accounted, or presented or disclosed. Shall express a qualified opinion or an adverse opinion as per SC 705. Okay. Yeah. Initial audit engagement is something that's so simple. Initial audit engagement, that is the auditor and then entity. In both their combo, the audit is for the first time. That is, the auditor might have done of audits of different entities, and the entity had various auditors that have done the entity, but the combo is for the first time. That is what we call the initial audit engagement, or the entity is having audit for the first time. The prior period were not audited at all. The prior periods were not audited at all. That's what with regards to the initial audit engagement. And opening balances definition was these were closing balances of the prior period. And with that, we'll move on to the SA510. What the auditor shall do. Auditor shall determine whether prior period closing balances, that is the opening balances, have been correctly brought forward to the current period, or any adjustments have been disclosed as a prior period items. That is, they have been properly carried forward or not. You see, when it was regarded as opening balances after brought forward, after carrying forward, then until then it would be closing balance of the current period. That's why they have used this phrase here. Don't get confused with regards to that. Determine whether the opening balances reflect the application of appropriate accounting policies, and determine whether accounting policies were not there or not. That's in the objectives of the auditor also. So we could write all the two things here. Just repeating the objectives of the auditor and performing one or more of the following. What he has to do? He has to find whether the prior year financial statements were audited. He has to check the copies of those audited financial statement and evaluate whether audit procedures performed in the current period provide evidence that are relevant to the opening balances, or performing specific audit procedures to obtain audit evidence with regards to opening balances. You see, you have to write the objectives first, and then second thing, if the prior periods were audited, you have to check those financial statements. Second thing is that you have to perform audit procedures and specific audit procedures. That's it. We have completed SA 510.